at another aspect to the conflict on Gaza, reminding you that thousands have been wounded and more than 1,000 dead as we approach the third week of the conflict. We were looking at who makes money out of the killing of children in Gaza, and we spoke to one of our resident analysts who is in Paris, Max Kaiser. Let's see what he had to say.
Yeah, I noticed that the UK pound is dropping. The US dollar has been weak, relatively speaking, whereas the Israeli shekel has been holding up pretty well. I would imagine that the international money laundering syndicates that we've seen operating in the UK and the US have moved operations to Tel Aviv. So I think a lot of what we're seeing on the front of violence is a bit of an operation to deflect attention from a lot of the money laundering, of course, that goes on and has moved away from the UK and the US because those banks are experiencing a different kind of holocaust. It's a financial holocaust. We saw evidence today of Bank of America getting a $138 billion bailout from America's taxpayers. If you go back a few months, what happened was the Bank of America bought the very toxic Merrill Lynch and all of their off-balance sheet, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of collateralized debt obligations and other fraudulent pieces of paper. They assumed those debts, and as a bank now, they're eligible for bailout money from the federal government. And now, instead of simply declaring themselves bankrupt and the bankers being punished for their crimes, they're getting a huge multi-hundred billion dollar paycheck. So that's a financial holocaust happening at the same time as this tragic holocaust we're seeing in Palestine. And it's amazing that it's being perpetrated by the same folks who escaped a holocaust only to perpetrate a holocaust. So it's the psychology is amazing. It's people who are children of abusive parents grow up to become abusive parents. Here in Israel, we're seeing a state carved out of the aftermath of World War II grow up to become an abusive child of an abusive situation. The psychology is remarkable. The Palestinians are getting absolutely the short end of the global geopolitical stick right now simply because of greed, banking greed, and sadism on the part of the so-called organized governments in the UK, Israel, the US. Shameful, absolutely shameful.
The views there of Max Kaiser, a financial analyst. Some financial news, actually, in the Financial Times in the past hour or so. News that Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister there of an economy